then enhance that initial conversation to improve that initial inquiry first impression. And we're seeing that have that ripple effect down to better conversion rates.
Welcome to the 1% Edge podcast, where we dive into the journeys of extraordinary guests committed to getting 1% better every day. Today's hot topic: practical ways to make humans more productive in this age of AI. And to help us out with that, I'm really honored to have Matt Ericksen, Vice President of Sales and Operations at Griswold. Welcome to the show, Matt. How are you?
Hey, it's great to be here, Carlos. Thanks for having me.
I think this is going to be a good topic because it's that word practical, right? Because in fact, I forgot I was going to look up the numbers, but I think I heard it's like 78, or don't quote me on this, % of AI projects have proven no return on investment.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've seen similar studies and white papers done in that. Yeah. At least it's safe to say 3/4 of everybody that dabbles with it or initiates a project, only a fraction of those actually come to fruition that are published, and even less of those actually prove an ROI.
Great point. So let's do this. Let's start out with kind of situationally. So you're running a business. When we say making humans more productive, what does that mean to you? And then maybe we can dive into some examples.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the world that I exist in, an industry that Griswold's involved in is providing personal companion care services in the home setting and with our partners in the community. But it's a volume game. And so that you have a bottleneck inherently in the business setup of high engagement with your clients, customers, referral sources, as well as the caregivers that you'll be deploying. But it goes through a small office team. And so time is the most valuable asset. And how we look at, practical, right, is I need the subject matter experts, being the person that holds that seat as a coordinator, director of the office, sales leader, so forth. I need their time free for as many minutes and seconds of their work week as possible to be forward facing with clients, caregivers, and building that authentic human connection. And the AI comes in to help free that up through the volume game.
All right. So if I can just read this back to you. So when it's a volume business in a way, right? Because the more people we get taking care of these folks in their homes, the more money we make, and that's how the business grows. So that means you really got to maximize that time that we're doing human to human connection, connect with folks versus, I don't know, back office search stuff or other things that is important.
Habits, reoccurring, billing, payroll, recruiting practices, so forth. AI layered over, what can you give to the AI to do that you were historically doing that was a low impact, high hour commitment process?
Okay. So how about we do this? Can we go into some specific examples and then how your journey was to do it? Because I feel like for some folks, AI is this amazing tool set, but they're looking for, well, what do I do with the tool? So maybe we can go talk through some examples.
Sure, absolutely. So, and I'll preface everything with this: I have a history degree. I do not have any formal education in AI or LLMs or coding, but what I do have is a really good intuitive eye for trends and efficiencies. And so, what we pilot everything at the franchisor, and I work out of the Griswold headquarters here in Bluebell, PA, and we test everything in our operations department that supports these franchise owners who do a small sample size to kind of control the positive or negative impact of these little agents we create. And in these agents, what we do, oh my God, I just lost my train of thought. Help me, reel me back in here, Carlos, because I was going somewhere and I forgot where.
Just thinking about an example. So like you created an agent.
Yeah, perfect.
Give me an example of an agent you created for something.
Yeah, so we have an agent that helped solve this time thing. The parallel in our franchise owners' offices with time, same plays out with our coaches here that support them, is one of the first tools that we created that really kind of gave us the wow factor here was we spent a lot of time critiquing job ads that our owners are having to revise, dial into the local level down to like the zip code. And there's a reoccurring, low impact, I have a subject matter expert. Why are they spending so much time critiquing this template essentially.
Good.
So we using ChatGPT, we have the Teams version, which is the paid version that it doesn't train the model; it works off of current information. Built a GPT based off of Indeed.com best practices, our Griswold brand best practices, SEO algorithm best practices, so forth, creating guardrails. And this agent just needs a hyperlink to that ad, and it's going to give you, it's going to grade, it's going to give it an A minus to an F on based off the principles that we've trained that agent to look at the ad in, provide, hey, this is what's going right. Don't change this. Don't make it worse or mess with what's right. Here, fix, freeze this, don't touch it, but focus on these areas. And here's some samples. Here's ways that, hey, not only is this an identified area that you can improve, but here's how you can improve it. Here's a grade that you have for this current ad. This is the grade that you could potentially see if you would make these changes. And we can give that output in a link to any franchise owner that we work with to rapid fire. I just took what takes usually sometimes an hour down to it's less than a minute. And that's the first one that kind of took it off for us.
So I can see that having an impact because we do hiring in the franchise I invested in across multiple states. We do ads, and we've over the years have kind of played with the ads to see what's the most effective to get us the best candidate. Mm-hmm. In your effort, so one of the outcomes was in producing the ad, you're producing a much higher quality ad in a lesser amount of time. Seen an impact in the type of candidates that you get, that you're hiring because of it.
Absolutely. And twofold, both the quality has improved. And so our recruiting and the benchmarks by which we measure the pipeline, our industry right now is seeing a record number of top line applicants, but also much lower conversion rates to hires. And we're seeing offices that are deploying these ads that are being educated and refined through AI tools. We're seeing it help improve the conversion pipeline. But what we really see I think the biggest value impact is our owners are spending less time trying to teach themselves how to write better ads and learn resources. And we're cutting through that because we've trained the agent to do that for them. So we're teaching them more so, hey, this is how you need to interpret and understand the information that's being provided to you by a GPT that's been trained on all the best practices as an expert. And the time back now, they're having better quality interviews, which means that they're getting to understand the candidates better. They're making better hiring decisions. So not only are we hiring more people, but we're also making better hiring decisions. The quality of the volume that we're hiring is being deployed that drives better revenue, better stability. And so we're seeing the ripple effects just simply of this one agent now give time back to our owners to invest in quality interviews, to make quality hires, and we have better quality outcomes for our clients now, better sales.
That's a big one because I can see it impacts so many things down the line, right? Not just having more time to do, let's say, other human activities, but like you said, better people coming in, better reaction, better revenue, less turnover. I mean, it's goodness all the way down the pipe.
Yeah, and that's how we look at ourselves. Like as a franchisor, our job is to put a formula forward that works to meet all the current conditions of any operating environment in sales, recruiting, HR, compliance. And our owners got into this business to help people, to grow the business, to increase, their net worth. They didn't get into it to train themselves and teach themselves. So these tools we're deploying in a way to help them achieve their goals faster in whatever vertical of the business that they're in. And we're just giving them more time back to achieve that outcome faster.
Got it. Is there another example you can think of or use case?
Yeah. Oh God, where to start? Absolutely. So one of the best, in this business we're in on the sales side of things is our clientele. Like, you'll have a persona for different types of customers or, prospects that you have across all industries, right? Well, within those, knowing that persona and understanding how to interact with them is critical to, in moving at that top line of the pipeline, through the process. We have different apps and GPTs, or even just some of our preferred partners that we work with, the transcription services and the ability to have the AI analyze any of your voice over IP conversations with prospects and inquiries, where we're capturing data we're capturing our inquiry calls, and we're capturing them in far better detail and having higher quality conversations with those individuals to better learn their needs and what, as a customer, what solutions we can bring to bear for them. And those notes, those documentations, now we're having a conversation back and forth like you and I are. My head's not down
Mm-hmm.
taking notes though of the prospect trying to tell me. Like if I'm asking them, hey, how many hours do you need? What's the current conditions of your loved one? And I'm asking this question, but I'm not actually listening to you. I'm just transcribing, what you're telling me, but I'm not actually assessing, analyzing, or going to a deeper level with it. Now I can. These agents, any of these voice over IP providers, pretty much they all have these AI transcriptions now, and we're coaching our teams to not worry about taking the right notes, ask the right questions, actively listen, and then enhance that initial conversation to improve that initial inquiry first impression. And that we're seeing that have that ripple effect down to better conversion rates, better intakes, with our clients when we actually go in the home and we sign them, and we're getting more of those done. To bottom line is it's improving billable hours at the end of the day, because we're just doing better at a very specific integral part of the client journey.
I'm almost laughing because I had a sales call earlier today, and usually, before I had an AI tool to take my notes, I would feverishly write notes, just like you said. And I was, I got pretty good at it, but you just can only capture so much, right? Because
Yeah.
while you're thinking and writing, they're talking and we're not listening.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a great point. The trick is to go back and use them and help them set up. Like I know when we record our little pre-podcast thing, I usually record those, and before we set the time to actually do this recording, I go back and I look through it and hey, what was the topic we said we're going to talk about, and what are some keynotes? And it really helps me be a little bit more productive.
Yeah, we use Copilot for Microsoft Teams for that, and that helps us. And we've actually created agents too that do behavior and sentiment analysis of those transcribed of those conversations. So not only do we actually ask a question, but when we're working through difficult situations, or say hopping on a call with a difficult client that just has tough asks, we can go back and not only do we have the exact word verbatim, but now we also can have these agents tell us, hey, this is what they said, but this is what they implied. What was unspoken in conversations you and I know, in a sales conversation, that's that little extra difference, that it's what you're reading the nonverbals or you're hearing in tone. Now that these agents you don't have to be a master in understanding that. The agent can tell you this. We just got to teach our teams how to take advantage of the capabilities of these systems to analyze the conversation we just had at a deeper level. You are going to outsell and out-influence, out-negotiate if you understand the nonverbals as much as you understand what's actually being conversated.
I love that. Now, there was another example you shared with me when we were kind of preparing for this thing, and I like it because it's so simple, but I think it's so critical. If I got this right, Matt, when you guys have an operating manual for each of your franchisees, and in addition to that, there's also like a regulatory manual for each of the states. Did I remember that correctly?
Yeah, we have an operating model to how to conduct the business as part of the Griswold brand. And then since we do provide care and we are in the health and human services industry, there's going to be state mandated requirements, and it's a lot of rules, a lot of best practices to follow. So we have quite a few manuals for them.
Well, I mean, on one hand, we could say, hey, you got to read this and sign this and say you read it. But let's face it, even if I read it cover to cover, there's no way I'm going to remember everything. And when issues do come up, you talked about creating an agent that actually searches through both of those, depending on where the franchise is, to help them kind of get to some answers in a quick and efficient manner. Did I get that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're really excited about. And we've just started tapping into the potential of it, but we've created an agent that we named after our founder, Gene Griswold. So you've seen a lot of like the new startups, they're taking on human personas or human names. And we just thought it was a really great, reference to the history of where we've come as a brand. So Gene, as our agent, is layered over all our operating document, best practices, and manuals, so forth. And this agent, it lives within our Microsoft environment. So it, getting into our SharePoint and so forth, we're able to, maintain a high level degree of control, security, management of our proprietary documentation, and only letting people in that have the seat that, they should have to access the information. That agent gene is critical though in when, say you have a auditor walk in your office. They do that. They're going to pop in sight unseen. I've gone through plenty of those, and I've sat down plenty of times flipping through my manual when they're asking for a very specific policy. When that manual is 200 pages long, on the fly, can I recall that? Well, I just saved minutes by using Gene to say, hey, I need this exact policy. Boom, here. I can now provide it to the auditor. I can, if I'm coaching my team, anything like that. It's what took minutes or hours. Gene saying, compressing that. And when that time, now you can learn that policy. Instead of having to search for it for 30 minutes when you only had 45, that gives you 15 minutes left to actually interpret, understand how to deploy it. But if I took 5 seconds to then identify that policy, now I got 44 minutes and 55 seconds to read it, reread it, reach out to a subject matter expert, and I can do more with that same amount of time than I could have in 3 days worth, essentially. And that's how we look at, all the massive document trove we have. Our agents are simply helping you learn it better and use it better.
I think it's a super practical one, and it's in a way so simple. In fact, in the business I invested in, we have a user's manual, and it's got to be on every truck, and everybody should signs off that they did it.
And 12 layers of dust on it, right? And
nobody touches it.
But great information in there, no matter what industry.
It is.
It's just chock full of it.
If it was more accessible at the time of need, which is really what you provided, I think that's great. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure some of our listeners are going, well, this is easy for you. I'm not tech savvy. I don't know how to set these things up. Can you walk me through a little bit? I mean, how much time did it take you to kind of set these up, and how much time are you going?
So on average, I would say the agents that I create or try to create can happen in less than 15 minutes. And
you're doing these yourself?
Myself. Again, I got a degree in history. I am a Civil War buff, and I got a lot of hobbies, and I don't know squat, you could say, right? When you look at my resume versus our director of IT here, he's more qualified to code than I am. But you just have to be a subject matter expert on whatever, or not even subject matter expert. You have to know the question. And then it's all you have to really learn. The only thing you actually have to learn is, what does a high quality prompt look like? And this is, I shared this on an earlier podcast I did that was within the home care industry, but the biggest, say, re-education that you have to put yourself through in creating these agents, and you can create a fantastic agent that can save time in 15 minutes, is we have conditioned ourselves over the last 20 years to talk to Google search engine. And what that practice has been is through inputting keywords that match SEO best practices. That's going to trigger a high quality output for Google search results. That does not work in creating a high quality output when you're working with an LLM or any of these conversational AI tools. They need a wide array of descriptive words, and they need you to illustrate verbally, through your use of language, what you're looking for. And that's ironically where there's actually a push, and there's a trend, there's a demand for people with history and political science degrees, English degrees, because they have a great grasp of the English language and how to articulate what they're looking for. Whereas everybody else struggles they use the same word for 3 different things. Right. And so that's where just think really clearly and intentionally about what you're trying to achieve. Write it out if you have to. Look, ChatGPT or OpenAI, a lot of these platforms are creating, I think there's OpenAI Academy now that just came out. There's a lot of, actually I just printed off their practical guide to GPT-5. Learn how to write the prompt. That will give you a great agent in 15 minutes, but just write really intentionally and well thought out.
Nice. All right. So as you thought about, and you went in the process of rolling some of these out as an organization, I'm sure you heard, what about our privacy? So for example, we're going to take our secret sauce, our owner's manual, and you're going to put it out on a large language model. Are you crazy? How did did that concern come up, and how did you go about dealing with it?
Yeah, it absolutely does. It is. It was. You can see it just looks hard on some of my leadership team's face when I first started talking about these things because everybody saw the implications. And it's really, yeah, just know what you're using. I mean, there's, it's kind of like a running joke. You could say nobody looks at the terms and conditions when you sign because you just want to use that tool. Well, nothing is free in life, right? So if you're using a free platform, especially for AI, these tools are going to use your inputs, your information to train. If you're using a free one, just assume that. You just have to assume a free tool is going to take your information and it's going to monetize it, right? So pay for that look at the terms and conditions for the paid services that they provide. The ChatGPT, the Teams level is the one that you can use. It's $20 a month. It's very affordable. You can manage seat control, and if you separate somebody, you can immediately pull them from there and not have them have access. You're not training the models there. You're not training the model in the Teams level or higher product lines, you could say, with OpenAI. So just take the time, and whether it's your IT team, whoever's in charge, is ask that question of, okay, if that's the product line we're using with this AI company or tool, what is, where's our information going? Is it stored in the cloud? Is it deleted after a certain amount of time? What's our level of control with seats and security features there? We're actually transitioning now, the next month or so from ChatGPT to Copilot because it sits within our Microsoft universe, and we already has GPT-5 layered in there, so why not? But it gives us an enhanced level now of within our environment, we can now control the security features at a higher level with our IT team. And so we're looking at those opportunities and innovations as they come about with different providers, in-house or our current vendors. We also are asking them now with a lot of our vetting and continued, just conversations, what do you have? What's in your pipeline? Can we, instead of us going and using an external provider for this solution, do you have anything that we can take advantage of that's in-house where we've already vetted your security policies?
All right, I love that. So, what's been the feeling? I mean, obviously, it seems what's been the feeling company wide about using these agents, and what's an impact? And I guess I'm looking at it not just from a corporate perspective, but also from a franchisee perspective.
Yep. So from our franchise network, and we have a couple hundred franchise locations, we have about 80% utilization of some form of AI tool to different degrees, but it is.
Did you say 80?
80% of our, we pulled our network, and they're using it in some way, shape, or form to find efficiencies in their daily life, on top of how we're advising them to use it. The feeling is it's exciting. It's a rising tide in a way where just the advocacy for the tools and resources is becoming more aware, especially when we put numbers behind it. Like I have a metric, we call it our OPI, or overall productivity index. And it's a formula by where, what's the investment in the AI, both from a cost of the tool plus labor hours to build, maintain this. And we can directly tie it to a revenue, a factor, improvement. And when I can provide essentially the argument of, hey, here's an innovation, here's how I want you to use it, here's the OPI on it, then it really kind of it takes that fear of the unknown away from it. As far as really, is it worth our time? Should I even learn this? I'm like, yeah, because here's the index on it.
That's great. All right, so Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself and about Griswold.
Sure. So I am, I would say I'm a nonstop learner. I just absolutely am wired to just constantly just find new things that excite and entertain me, if you could say it that way. So my wife can't stand it. I have a million hobbies, all expensive, but all thoroughly, they're just so enjoyable. I have 2 young daughters, and really enjoy life as far as work hard, and then 100% love just going home and just spend time with my kids and my wife and enjoying that time there. As far as Griswold goes, the Griswold is one of the longest standing brands in the home care space, where we provide care to seniors and adults that are looking to live independently, or age in place, not have to seek out care in a structured facility per se. We have been around for 43 years. We have just over about 240 locations nationwide. And we are seeing some really exciting rapid growth. We have about 30% of our network right now are new owners, expanding significantly in the Midwest and West Coast. And really, they're excited to take advantage of these new tools, these innovations. The younger generation coming into franchising, not just home care, is we're putting forth these tools and they're adopting them at a rapid fire with all the AI developments.
It's great. And you do something that's so important. As an only child of aging parents, and when I've lost one of them so far, getting them help has been really a big concern of mine. So I think you're doing something really good for us.
We're trying. Thank you.
So if people want to learn more about Griswold or get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Sure. So I'm very active on LinkedIn. So just look me up. I'm Matt Ericksen. And then my email is matt@griswoldcare.com. Feel free to email me, reach out. Always love to connect with people and just learn from everybody, learn from you.
That's awesome. All right. Here's our closing question. What's your 1% edge? What are you working on to get 1% better every day these days?
Absolutely. My wife can't stand it. I do not listen to music. I only listen to podcasts and audiobooks when I'm in the car. And so if I ever listen to music now, it's when I'm working out for maybe 40 minutes a day at most. But my drive-in today, I was listening to a leadership development podcast, and that 35-minute drive 3 to 4 times a week, every 52 weeks a year, it compounds. And that's my edge.
I like that. Yeah, I've been listening to, I like books on tape too when I drive somewhere. But I do like podcasts, and it's nice because you can kind of pick your mood, right? Sometimes it's about ourselves and personal health, or, dealing with stuff and other, difficult conversations. Then it can also be about leadership and work and financial markets. Mm-hmm. So it's nice because you get to pick, what kind of intake you want to take.
Yeah. When everybody else is listening to music on the drive-in, how are you, essentially upskilling yourself? That's where I try to find that, I'm just a little bit better than you. Anyway. Very competitive.
I like it. Other thing, I read this, I think it was in Dan Montrell's book. He talks about reading at least 10 pages every morning. And all he says, I'm just trying to, educate myself, and, but it also allows them to think a little bit and have some topics for the day. So like he would be like, hey, I was just reading this book about this, Matt, you should, you may want to consider the book, or, hey, this might be a good idea for you. So it gives them like current events. Yeah. To kind of share with others and add value to others every day. Yeah,
I've actually built an agent for that for myself, or personally. I subscribe to a number of newsletters, and just like you can get those like leadership blogs or so forth. And I have a co-pilot agent that actually analyzes my email every 7 a.m. every morning when I'm eating breakfast, and I'm able to look over the summary of all, here's the current events, key developments in the industry. And I can either double click on those, or I can just take them in, but it equips me for those 9 a.m. meetings right away, where I know where I need to go with things.
Excellent. I know one thing, but I had a buddy help me. I did recently. I fed the first 28 episodes of the podcast, the transcripts, into ChatGPT, and I had it analyze it for key themes. And it brought back 25 key themes and then quotes from different episodes around those themes. I thought it was awesome. So I'm hoping I can keep doing that as I do more episodes, and kind of say hey, here's things that are common that I hear over and over again in different conversations.
Yeah, that's a huge, we're exploring that as well too, that behavior sentiment analysis, or just subject analysis. There's a lot to unlock as these, you go from GPT 3.5 to 5 and so forth. I just recommend everybody stay really in tuned with the notes on the updates, because there's little morsels of very, very critical, powerful updates that the next generation will have that can help, especially in these areas where there's, the tone, video, audio analysis capabilities.
Nice. Well, thanks, Matt. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for having me, Carlos. It's a pleasure speaking with you.
It's awesome. All right, folks, that does it for this week's episode. If you found some value in our conversation, please comment back, subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. We would greatly appreciate it. And until next time, I wish you nothing but the greatest success. Thanks again, Matt.
Yeah. Thank you.